Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's video, as you can tell, we are talking about more of a fall lake pattern that's going to be taking shape across the country. Now, in case you are here and you are wondering about the tropics, I made a video about that today, about the Hurricane Laura. And so go check that out, but that is definitely the biggest case or story of today. But I decided to make a video for everybody else that is going to get impacted by some other weather. There is some storm systems that are going to be. There are some storm systems that are going to be coming across the country. They are looking pretty large. They could be bringing our first true fall air and even some winter-like air across the portions of the country. So, you know, and we are nearing fall, and just next Tuesday is going to be the first meteorological day of a fall of autumn, so that definitely is nearing upon us. So we're definitely nearing that. And if you guys would like to subscribe to this channel, I do all sorts of weather related content. We have a huge fan base on here, and fan base not of me but of weather, and that's what we talk about, and we really do enjoy the weather a lot. So if you guys would like to join, consider. And if you're a returning viewer, liking the video always helps out, so thank you for that. Let's start looking at this. So right now, let's go to the, let's just show you the Gfs temperatures, because I'll show you the precipitation map in just a minute, but let's look at the temperatures. So again, we start off right now, we are in a dome of hot air across much of the central part of the country. It is very hot, very warm, unseasonably hot for August. Notice we have tropical storm, maybe at this point probably still a hurricane, even this far inland, Laura. It then weakens, and we get a storm system forming across this weekend. It doesn't really bring in a lot of cold air. Notice maybe a bit of a cool down, or more close to normal, if you will, kind of like the average temperature. Okay, but then notice we see a pretty large dose of cooler air right here across Montana and Wyoming and North Dakota, and right there we see that little kind of slope of warmer air, kind of, I guess you could say, creeping in. That is definitely an indicator of a storm system forming, and if you were to look at the precipitation map, there would be a storm system. And notice that behind that one, we could see quite a nice cool down into Tuesday and early next week. We see temperatures well into you know, the 8 to negative 12 degrees below average in terms of Celsius. While it doesn't look very widespread, it's limited to only a few states. The East Coast may not really get a lot from this, but they're definitely not going to be really in the hottest air, if you will. They're going to get a bit of that cooler air, but it's definitely not going to be above average, and it's just going to be probably closer to normal. Notice after that, that cold air mass kind of breaks apart. The GFS does a poor job, kind of bounces it back and forth during the night and the day, kind of differentiating those anomalies based on, you know, the nighttime lows. And notice that there is still a good mention of cooler air, right? And it's kind of spotty, these little anomalies, and they are pretty significant at where they do occur, and that's to do with cloud cover and rain cover. But notice just we have another storm system at this point erupting. That is, you could just tell by the shape of this right there. We have a cold front right here, we have a warm front, and that does move across, and that really kind of brings in quite a bit of cooler air. You could see some areas here seeing plenty of cold air, and yeah, this is very far out, but the models have been consistently showing you this, and consistency is your friend. You know, seeing a trend is your friend, if you will. Let's look at the 2-meter temperature shaded, and you can see that there definitely are going to be 40s and possibly, you know, frosts in the mountains. We've already been seeing some snow across Wyoming, Yellowstone, so definitely not out of the question. You can see this is September 9th, the daytime highs. You can see 60s and 50s, which is a stark comparison to what they're seeing in the southeast. But again, that's probably the coolest day I chose out of the forecast. But again, it is September. At this time, September, usually we see temperatures drop really quickly. Almost here in Chicago, we almost average 8 degrees per day, if not 2, of average temperature drops. That's when the atmosphere really starts to react to the shortening days of summer, and we just start seeing those cool fall nights, and it's just, you know, that's in store for sure. And really, that's it. Every model is showing that either way you put it, and that's why the Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day outlook, September 1st through the 5th, so from Tuesday to about, what is that, Saturday, I think, we have a good mention of below average temperatures across the central, but a little bit further to the west than the east, through the United States. Warmer across the west coast, and then warmer across the south and the east coast. That's definitely not good news for the west, across where they have the wildfires, but generally, you know, the whole year has been just warm for everybody. And in terms of precip, you can see above average, and that's because of those storm systems that will be coming across, dumping quite a bit of rain across much of the eastern United States. The only areas where it is going to be drier is really the west, the southwest, and that is really bad news, as they really need that the most, rather than the east. The east is a bit dry for sure. but the West would need it more. And then notice 8 to 14, we still have the mention of the cool temperatures. Now you may be wondering, why is it lighter colors? Those are indicative of the magnitude. That's just indicative of the confidence that they have in this, and they're a bit less confident because naturally it's further out. It's 8 to 14 days, and you can see it's from the 3rd through the 9th, but still warm across the east and the west and the south. So we'll have to see how that plays out, how that all occurs. But in terms of precipitation, you can see staying wet across the east and drier across the west. That's what they're thinking. I wanted to go back to the GFS model and look at the GEFS ensembles. These are a whole group of GFS-like models, if you will, and they take a look at the temperatures, the precipitation, and they just kind of average it out between what they all have to say. They kind of come to a agreement, if you will, and we get to look at their what they put together. And we'll wait for this to load and I'll bring it back. Notice we start off again with the heat. Most of the ensembles are showing that we start off with quite a bit of heat across the central United States, a bit cooler across the northeast. That's because of this large storm system of southeast Canada that, you recall, brought storms just across the east coast. Now it's moved off to the southeastern Canadian Maritimes, and that's where it is spitting away pretty strongly and bringing in quite a bit of cool air. That stays limited. You can see the warm air pushes in Friday, Saturday. We're still seeing a bit of warm air. That wave of cooler air into this weekend is a bit limited. It's definitely there. It's cooler. They're showing indications. That's mainly to do with a bit of cloud cover with that storm that's going to be occurring, kind of combining with the hurricane remnants, if you will. And we push forward and we see a storm system rising because you see this little poke of warm colors. That is indicative of a storm system forming. And look at that. We just start seeing this cold air rush in early next week around Tuesday, kind of like that month break around August 31st, Tuesday 1st. September 1st, not Tuesday 1st. It is going to be Tuesday though. And notice that you can see quite a bit of cooler temperatures. They are a bit spotty. Some days could be a bit warmer than others, but generally right now, this time, right here at around September 4th, is a transition between two storms. So the models are not agreeing on that awfully. So that's why we see these temperatures kind of all over the place. You know, one time showing cool, then warm. But generally, we see that storm pass through with most of the models. They agree with the GFS and they bring in a cooler lobe of air into the long range, and it definitely gets colder kind of as it stays up to the north, but then once it finally decides to come down, it definitely spills through. So you can see quite a good indication of cooler air. It's just how limited or how not limited this will be, we'll have to see, but definitely a fall-like pattern is under shape. Let's look at the European ensemble members. Let's see what they have to say. It's again kind of like the GFS. They are similar to the European model, and we see what they're showing. These are a bit higher up in the atmosphere at a certain pressure, and that's still relatively reflective of what's happening on the ground. If you were to look at the temperature anomalies, it's a bit slightly different, but generally the same. Notice, let's start off at hour 0, move it to 24. We have the heat. We have lots of heat. We see that little cool down this weekend, followed by a bigger one Tuesday. You can see the European really just cuts it short at around the northern plains, still keeps it warm air across much of the southern United States, and it keeps this large lobe of cold, cooler air to the north, but doesn't necessarily bring it down as far as some models would like. So these are the ensembles. I may have called it European in an accident, but you can see it definitely is there, and it's quite extensive. If we were to look at North America, we could see that it's a pretty large lobe of cooler air. It's pretty extensive, and that could be definitely working its way into northern United States as we push further into the next couple of days with this. I just want to look at the European model now, just the European model by itself. This is a singular model, so it will have a bit more drastic maybe measures showing, and definitely it's not an average. But let's take a look at this. Notice right now we're in the heat. We're staying in the heat. We get that cool down this Sunday, this weekend. We get that brief warm up, and then we see that cool down Tuesday again. The European really just halts it at around the Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska area, and doesn't push it farther. And then we see more heat possibly, but just a very, very, very large reservoir of cold air to the north. So we'll have to see what the European exactly does with that. If you were to look at previous model runs, it was more indicative of pushing that cooler air into the United States. Right there you can see that blast across the Sunday, and then it had the one across Tuesday. But generally, it has been a bit jumpy, if you will, the European. You can see yesterday's was a bit different. It showed a bigger, cooler air mass across Tuesday across the west. but it also included that larger reservoir of cold air you can see right there, and it brings it down into the United States. So it is definitely changeable, but it's still all, I guess, if you will, holding on to the same pattern. Let's look at the MSLP and precip. I just want to look at this and show you the actual storms that are going to be occurring. So at this time of the year, we start seeing these large systems occur, and that's because of the fall and the fall pattern. We start seeing these larger storms being able to form. Usually that's because of some stronger, cooler air off the mountains, warmer air from the Gulf of Mexico. Those two, when those two combine, you know, they're like, they don't really, they could create some pretty, they're like a dynamic duo, if you will. And as we push this along, we see Hurricane Laura push through the United States, southern United States. We see the storm off of southeastern Canada right there. Pretty strong beast. It's going to dwindle out, but we see a little disturbance combined with the remnants of Tropical Storm Laura at this point, and lots of rain across the East Coast potentially, and even the Midwest, so that's definitely some good news for some parched areas. As we push this Sunday, Monday, a few days later, we see a large system across southern Canada pushing into Hudson Bay. We see it really pick up a lot of tropical moisture. We see a storm forming right there, pushes through. We see more precipitation across the eastern United States and across the south really as well. Then we see another little Clipper-like storm kind of push in. This one really doesn't do much, but it kind of takes that cold front and basically claims it as its own and sweeps it out of there, brings in a bit of cooler air. And this is where the GFS includes a very large storm, which is still obviously very far out, but notice that it does include a very, very large system. Lots of rain, lots of showers, lots of thunderstorms, and even mountain snow for sure. And look at that, even snow across southern Canada right there. Really just a bit north of Maine, quite a bit of snow could be falling. And again, if you've noticed, the 540 line is just dropping fast to the south. I mean, at the beginning of this month, we were barely seeing signs of it up here. Now it's consistently in a long range, showing itself by the United States border. Now, you know, that isn't necessarily showing that this year is special in coldness, anything like that. That's usually the case. We start seeing this 540 line advance pretty far to the south at this time of the year. Nothing atypical, but notice lots of precipitation across the United States, and we have just lots of these storms that are riding across Canada that have the potential to kind of sweep up this tropical energy and form it into a nice cold front. I apologize about the loading screens, they're a bit annoying today, but I've noticed another little surge of moisture and quite some large storms across northern Canada. We have lots of snow potential there, and again, the 540 line is getting further and further to the south as we speak. You know, as we push into September, we start seeing these things, and that's definitely looking to be the case. Let's look at the precipitation outlook, and let's go to regions focused on more of the United States, southern Canada area, and let's look at the total accumulated precipitation. Again, the amounts will be pretty large, really southern Canada, southwestern Canada, maybe some lighter amounts, but you can see the west remains pretty much bone dry. The Four Corners area, Colorado, the mountains may be getting a bit of rain. That's definitely good news, but you can see it's kind of patchy. But the eastern United States will definitely be getting quite a bit of rain, so that's good news. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video, consider subscribing to this channel, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.